Hi you guys, it's Amanda with Healthy House on the block, and I am here with another Healthy House tip to help you guys create an indoor environment that is as free from toxins as possible and one that supports your immune system and your overall health and wellness. This week we are definitely talking about a component inside your house that I hate. I don't say that often, but we're talking about dust. And specifically what is in dust. So what is it? I mean, a lot of times I think we're told that it's mostly dead skin cells, which is just gross on its own. But what studies have shown is that dust in our house actually contains chemicals, it contains pesticides, bacteria, viruses, dust mites. All of these things are harmful to our health in some way or another. I think the most harmful is probably the pesticides and chemicals, and then probably dust mites, and then bacteria and viruses, because we don't want a super sterile environment in our home, because it actually is good for our bodies to come in contact with different types of bacteria. However, we don't want to obviously bombard our system with bacteria. And if our system is already overloaded with the pesticides that come in, the toxins that come in through our cleaning supplies and things like that, we're actually burdening our system, and it's probably not going to be able to fight off any sort of bad virus or handle a bacteria that our body really shouldn't be in contact with. So this week what I'm going to do is we're going to walk through this blog post that I wrote up about dust, and it's super informative. I like to break things down very into like simple little steps. So we're going to talk about each component of the dust, what the health effects are, why it gets into your dust in the first place, like how does it come in, and then I'm going to talk to you about some habits that can help reduce dust at home, because if we can just reduce the dust, we don't have to dust as much, because I will be honest with you, I really don't like dusting. That's like the one chore that seems to get pushed to like each day of my to-do list, and sometimes it'll be weeks before I actually get around to it again because I just don't like it. But vacuuming with a HEPA filter, we actually got an ion, I think it's a Shark Ion robot, and we run it every day, and that has helped with creating just kind of a really clean base where it collects a lot of the dust every single day. And so we only run it on the main level, and in our bedrooms we just run a vacuum maybe once or twice a week, but then it kind of eliminates some of that dust that's in the house that's getting like pushed around. Another thing that I'm going to talk about is the right way to dust. So using like a dry Swiffer or like a dusting brush is probably not ideal. I'm going to share with you the dusting spray that I like to recommend people use. It helps repel the dust, and it helps clean it up so that it's not just getting pushed back up into the air. And then I also like to pair it with a Swedish dishcloth. These are biodegradable. They're such a great option for so many different cleaning applications. And so I have those linked in the blog post. So let's get to these slides. If you are someone who likes to read, you like to look at those links for studies that I am sharing, if you like to go check out the products that I'm telling you about in this week's post, then I would encourage you to head to the blog post. I have it linked in the description, and you can get all of that there. But for starters, let's head on over and take a look at the toxic dust in our house. All right, so let's dive deep into the dust inside your house, you guys. So first, I'm going to talk about why we want to be really cognizant of dust and what is in the dust in our house. So first, we're going to take a look at pesticides. So I've been talking about this in the last couple posts actually, but pesticides are all throughout our home. They come in on our shoes. They end up in the fine particles that come loose from our furniture, carpets, and textiles, because those fabrics probably were treated with pesticides as well. Breathing in the fine particles can lead to a number of problems like poor development in children, increased risk of cancer, chronic dermal irritation, which would be like a rash, and immune system deficiencies. The problem is that because it's tiny particles, they can be embedded into the lung tissue where they really do some damage. The other thing that I want to talk about that's in house dust is bacteria. So bacteria is going to be in our dust from us it enters our home from the outdoors. Probably most of it comes in on our shoes. And the second way that it would be coming into the home is maybe like through a pet, or it could even be like blowing in from windows, but generally bacteria is from dirt that comes in on us or our pets. And knowing that it does, you can kind of minimize this with like a no shoe policy. Bacteria entering our home from outdoors, it can include fungal strains of microbes, Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, strains of bacteria that live on surfaces is going to be mostly what we want to pay attention to. And so that lives in our dust as well. The other thing that I want to talk about are chemicals. So dust contains fibers from carpets and upholstered furniture, and a lot of these have chemicals in them. Chemicals to prevent staining. Here's a list: flame retardants, phthalates, PFCs, formaldehyde, phenol toxins. These are the exact things that they're from. So a lot of furniture, carpets, building materials, or cleaning products have chemicals that become sprayed onto surfaces. And what happens is we come in contact with these by breathing them in, by touching them. Kids ingest them, and the chemicals that we're talking about have been linked to increased cancer risk, endocrine and hormone disruption, creating reproductive problems in a variety of individuals. So we really want to be careful about what chemicals we bring into our house, because it does end up in our dust. And finally, dust mites. So this is kind of one of those gross things that we don't talk about a lot, but it's important. Dust mites aggravate allergies, and they usually people respond with like an allergic reaction to them. In fact, even when dust mites are dead, they still aggravate the same symptoms. So the real way to eliminate the problem is to get rid of the dust mites altogether. Dust mites like a humid environment, so if you can reduce your humidity levels in the home to about 35 to 40%, that is ideal. And you want to make sure that you wash like drapery and bedding frequently to eliminate the buildup on those textiles. But again, it can aggravate asthma. It has been linked to an increased risk of developing asthma in children, higher rate of respiratory illness, and then like allergies. You might see allergic reactions in skin, in like respiratory, all that good stuff. So the highest risk group are kids. And as a mom, I will be completely honest with you, toxins that affect my kids and their health are usually much more important to me to get rid of first. So this is like the exact reason why I want to stay on top of dust in my house. And children and babies are not only first to like play on a floor, but dust tends to settle like around where they play, because they are on the floor, they're crawling around. They also have poor hand to mouth habits that puts them in this high risk group for ingesting the components of dust. And then the other part of it is their toys and other objects that end up in their mouth allow them to ingest bacteria and chemicals that we bring into our home. Children are exposed to higher levels of dust, and because of this, they are in a higher risk group for developing asthma and eczema. Dust mites are actually the large contributing factor when it comes to that, and I have a study linked for you guys. Childhood asthma is also on the rise due to a lot of contributing factors, but one of them that we could control is exposure to dust mites within the home. And the health studies that I'm sharing are all linked. So children who are exposed to higher levels of dust are actually at a higher risk for developing both asthma and eczema. So keeping your house free of dust is actually going to be really helpful to kids. So let's talk about some habits that will prevent dust inside the home. First and foremost, no shoes. So removing your shoes at the door and creating a no shoe policy in your own home can help reduce the amount of dust and dirt that comes into your house just right off the bat. You can utilize a rug to help catch the particles before they get tracked in around your home. Second is wipe off your pet's paws before you come inside, and you'll keep a lot of bacteria and pesticides from being tracked around the house. We used to keep an old towel nearby so we could just wipe off our little Ruby's paws. That's a great idea. Second is, or the next one is humidity levels. So dust mites thrive in humid environments. If your home is around like 35 to 40%, dust mites will not be able to reproduce. So it'll eliminate many of them from your home. You can use like a hygrometer or a smart thermostat to kind of check your humidity levels. And then scheduled cleaning. So use like a calendar app or a schedule at home to help you keep up on dusting and vacuuming. Ceiling fans, your furnace vents and grates, just places that you forget about, try to get to like once a month. Next one is furnace filters. So replace those furnace filters. I would say every 3 to 4 months. I like to use Nordic Pure. They have really high quality filters that filter out a large portion of particles down to really tiny ones. And last but not least, get like a regular duct cleaning. I would say every 2 years. It's such a great way to get some dust out of your house and keep it out for good so it doesn't get pushed around. And then let's talk about dusting the right way. I think a lot of times we just push dust around and it can become problematic. So first, use like a dusting spray. I'm going to share my recipe here in a second, but it will not only help remove the dust, but it'll also help repel dust from that surface. And then when you're doing floors, use a wet mop. We use a refillable wet mop at our house with like a concentrated cleaner, and it helps because it doesn't just push the dirt back up into the air. It actually like traps it in the water and moisture particles. And then finally, vacuum with a HEPA filter. We use a Shark Ion robot and we use it every single day. And that has really helped with reducing the amount of dust in our home. And so we don't have to vacuum as frequently. And then here is our non-toxic dusting spray. So you'll just find a glass bottle. You'll mix up 1 cup of water, a 1/4 cup vinegar, and then you'll add 2 teaspoons of olive oil. And then I would say like 10 to 15 drops of the essential oil of your choice. I like lemon for dusting, but you could do orange, grapefruit. And then you'll just shake it each time you're going to use it. And I recommend using like a Swedish dishcloth, which I have linked in this week's blog post for you. They are biodegradable and they're a great option for dusting. All right, you guys, thank you so much for sticking around and going through all those slides with me and learning a little bit about how to keep your home environment healthier and safer for your family and for yourself. I hope that you were able to take just something away from this post. Feel free to leave a comment and let me know what it is that you plan to do in your home to eliminate dust or reduce dust going forward. If you have any questions, again, feel free to leave a comment or you can send me an email that's on my website. Otherwise, I will be back next week with another healthy house tip on creating an indoor environment that supports your health and wellness. Be well.